A very good evening to respected dignitaries, speakers, colleagues, students, and friends. On behalf of the Department of Science, Technology and Environment, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this special webinar organized to mark World Ozone Day 2025. And the topic Environment and Health Impacts of Printing and Photocopying. Special emphasis on indoor air pollutant measurement, evaluation, and mitigation. Every year on September 16, we come together to reflect on one of humanity's greatest collective achievements, the protection of the ozone layer under the historic Montreal Protocol. This year's theme, From Science to Global Action, reminds us that the journey from discovery to solutions is powered by evidence, collaboration, and shared responsibility. I believe our participants today, ranging from eminent experts, researchers, policymakers, educators, and young learners, we have joined here today to strengthen our fight for the protection of the ozone layer. This webinar will give us an opportunity to deepen our understanding of the science behind ozone protection, the role of global cooperation, and the steps we must take at local and regional levels. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speaker for accepting our invitation, to our organizing team for their tireless efforts, and to each participant for joining us today. With these words, I warmly welcome you all once again to this meaningful session. Let us engage, learn, and commit ourselves to protecting the ozone layer together for our future. Now, I invite our department senior scientific officer to deliver keynote address.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, distinguished guests, colleagues, and all participants who are on this platform today. Really, it's a privilege to join you on this World Ozone Day 2025, and particularly this year's theme, From Science to Global Action. It remains us one of the humanity's greatest environmental success stories that protect the ozone layer. The depletion of the ozone layer, more commonly we call it as ozone hole, was discovered and acted upon over 4 decades ago with more scientific findings revealing the dangers posed by the CFCs and other ozone infiltration with the infiltration of the UV rays. It was clear and also evidence-based science that sounds alarm and global action that answered it. We all know that the Montreal Protocol of 1987 remains the most successful environmental treaty as on date. Nearly every nation are committed to phasing out harmful substances, and the result has been extraordinary. The ozone hole is sealing, and by the mid-century, the ozone layer is expected to return to the 1980s level in most of the regions. This achievement proves that when science, policy, as well as industry unite, we can overcome even global environmental crisis. So the Department of Science, Technology and Environment is responsible to ensure that this global action translate into a local action, which means strengthening monitoring of ozone and UV radiation in our region, ensuring accurate data for research and policy, promoting sustainable alternatives to banned substances, supporting industries in adopting climate friendly and energy efficient technologies, enforcing regulations and preventing illegal trade in restricted chemicals, educating the public on safe refrigeration practices, the importance of energy efficiency, and the health risks of UV exposure. The scientific community has a special role. We must continue advancing knowledge of atmospheric chemistry, climate interactions, and sustainable technologies. But if you see, the knowledge alone is not enough. We must also communicate it clearly to decision makers and to citizens, ensuring that science remains at the heart of policy. The lesson of the Montreal Protocol is simple, but it's powerful. When guided by science and when nations act together, we can heal the planet. Today, as we face the twin crises of ozone depletion and climate change, let us hold firmly to the truth. On this World Ozone Day, let us renew our commitment to protect the ozone layer, to confront climate change, and to move always from science to action. Thank you for the opportunity provided. Over to Shantalakshmi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So before our speaker begin this session today, I'll introduce the speaker for the participants. Dr. Abhishek Nandan, the speaker today, is the Associate Professor at the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun. Dr. Nandan has over a decade of teaching experience, along with an outstanding academic and research record. He is widely recognized for his expertise in environmental impact and risk assessment, environmental biotechnology, air pollution, wastewater, and solid waste management. His contributions extend across both teaching and research, with more than 50 international journals published and books and several patents as well. Among his notable patents are uh, cancer risk assessment tool using Python and innovations in indoor air pollution control using IoT and a water filtration system using bioabsorbents. Dr. Nandan has also been widely engaged in internal and external funded projects and holds various prestigious ISO certifications in environmental management, laboratory management, occupational health and safety, and quality management systems. Beyond his research, Dr. Nandan is deeply committed to teaching and mentoring. He has created a student centered learning environment, encouraging critical thinking, practical applications of knowledge to real world examples, case studies, and collaborative projects. With over 20 conference presentations and 200 citations, Dr. Nandan continues to inspire innovation and learning through his teaching. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Abhishek Nandan once again and let him begin his session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Balaji. Now I request Dr. Abhishek Nandan to start the session. What you say?
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for the nice greetings. So, first of all, I must start with the Happy Engineers Day to all the engineers those who have joined today. Today is the Engineers Day, so we must also respect the engineers those have given this technology that today we are connecting to each other. Happy Engineers Day to everyone. Have a nice day. So, very nicely said by scientist officer sir. He has covered most of the aspect that what Montreal Protocol has covered and what ozone depleting substance has been identified. So before I start discussing on the title, I just wanted to tell that what is the recent condition of our country internationally and where we are lagging and where we need to work on. First of all, the if you see indoor air quality, mostly whenever you discuss about the ozone, as we are discussing on the ozone layer, so we must think about ozone. So whenever you think about ozone, there are different aspects and different types of ozone, good ozone and bad ozone. But mostly we are concerned about the indoor air pollution once we think about ozone. And sadly, in India, we don't have any indoor air quality which says the guidelines or which gives you the guidelines to control the ozone. But to control the ozone, we refer some of the guidelines which has been given by ESRA as well as US EPA that gives you the guidelines for in the indoor air quality. So what happened in 1987, as discussed by Sir, Montreal Protocol has given an eye opener to the world that we have multiple substances which are basically depleting ozone, and that substance has been identified and termed as ozone depleting substance. So you would have heard about HCFC, then HFCs and CFCs, etc. All these substances has been identified as the ozone depleting substance. And then the target, earlier the target was Millennium Development Goals. That Millennium Development Goals was basically a target between 2000 to 2015, where this ozone depleting substance was also taken under consideration that by 2015 we are going to remove all the ozone depleting substance from the atmosphere, from our utility. But sadly we could not. So then we had this SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goals, which was introduced in 2015, and then the target is up to 30. So if you see, today you go and just refer after my lecture, what are the ozone depleting substances we are using nowadays and how many has been phased out. The phase has been given, just like we are using ozone depleting substance nowadays in hardening of tires, then fire extinguishing media, and we could not find any replacing material for that. That's why still we are using it. But the timeline has been given by 2040, all the ozone depleting substance must be removed from the utility. So this is the background of the lecture today, which will discuss about one of the you can say important aspect of our office life nowadays, admin right nowadays. Like we generally go for this photocopying and printing. So if you see, photocopy and printing nowadays is an integral aspect of all the office work, not only including office. If you even go to hospital, they will print the report and they will send you the give you the report. And this printing and photocopying basically contributes significantly to the indoor air, which can have adverse impact on health, environment, as well as the safety aspect of that premises. So the lecture today will focus on the impact of photocopy on printing and its measurement, evolution, and mitigation. What are the mitigation measures we have? What are the proposed mitigation measures which can be adopted in near future? So if you see, uh, earlier in Washington D.C., earlier in 90s, there was an incident. Suddenly, number of people has felt sick and they got faint within with once they enter into the building, and within a 15 minutes or 30 minutes they were unconscious. So the reason after the root cause analysis has been happened that it was ozone which was higher in concentration inside the building. So that was in 1980s when the ozone was first time has been considered as the hazardous substance for the health system. And if you see the report given by US EPA in 2015, indoor air pollution is the one of the top, you can say, the pollutant which can have the adverse impact on our health. It is an top five environmental risk to the public health. In multiple studies, it has also been highlighted that it has impact on body, different body part, which includes the obviously respiratory tract as well as the reproduction as well as you can say the mutagenic effect of this indoor air pollution has also been understood and had been studied by some of the scientists. And the most of the dominating hazardous indoor air pollutant which has been observed till now are ozone, then volatile organic compound, semi-volatile organic compound, then formaldehyde, radon, etc. This is a group and this is a family of indoor air pollution which has 95% of the total impact on the health other than other indoor air pollutant. So, as we know, we in India, most of the population, one third of the urban India lives in the polluted area, where the pollutant air are drastically affecting our body. It is not only in India but also in other countries, which can be easily observed in the multiple newspaper articles as well as a publication, recent publication. And cities like if you see most of the cities in the North India and South India, recently a study has been conducted in Sivakasi where the air pollution was adverse. So, what are the major reason of indoor air pollution? If I say there are multiple reasons which can affect the indoor air quality. First and the most important aspect is air tightness of the building. What is the meaning of air tightness of the building? When I say air tightness of the building, it is directly connected to the ventilation of the building. How the air change occurs per hour. Air change per hour is a critical aspect to analyze the indoor air pollution. Like how much air is being changed per hour in terms of meter cube per unit volume, per unit volume of air, per unit volume of replaceable, you can say replaceable space in the room. Then second aspect is the poorly designed vent and AC. Nowadays we are using centralized air conditioning system, but the designing aspects are sometimes the people they do the modification in the building after they construct it. So in that case, sometimes it is poorly designed and it is not appropriate for the, you can say, proper ventilation of the room. Then outdoor sources are already a contributor. Obviously, whenever you have polluted outside, it will affect the indoor air quality also. And then the last one that comes, that is indoor sources. And the title of the study says it is the one which has been highlighted, that is photocopy machine and printing machine. So if I say indoor sources, not only the photocopy machine or printing machine are the sources, but there are other multiple sources which can affect the indoor air, which includes the painting material, which includes your furniture inside the room, which includes the deodorant inside the room, which includes the cloth inside the room, which includes the other electronic gadget inside the room, temperature of the room. All these are directly or indirectly contributing to the indoor air. But the recent studies will highlight only the scope of the study will only focus on the printing and photocopying machine, not any other aspect. But all are others are the contributor of indoor air pollution. Now, if you see, this is news is one of the major body which gives you a result on the occupational health and major hazard associated with the occupational health. So that tells that VOC from the equipment is the major contributor of indoor air pollution and building product, unknown causes and outside contamination and inside contaminations. Now, if you see here in this diagram, radiation is one of the major factor which basically leads to the formation of particulate matter due to the heat and Brownian motion inside the particulate matter. Then noise, illumination, heavy metals that may lead to ozone, VOC, CO2 and CO. As well as temperature, as soon as the temperature increases, the release of this substance increases. That I will say you for the research which where I have conducted the research and showed that how the temperature influence the presence of ozone or increase in the ozone concentration. So this is already been discussed. So why this study is very important nowadays, indoor air pollution, and why the gadget which is highlighted or which is taken under consideration for my research or for my research study is required nowadays. So the release of ozone, VOC, CO2, CO, and associated risk, that is cancer risk, that is a chronic risk, is must be understood before it is being exposed to any health. And obviously, quantification, estimation, and the development of predictive tool is required so we can reduce the impact on health. So here I'll come on the first work which has been done recently. This was a project given by DST only. And the recent work identify the first objective identify the multiple hazard which is associated with printing and photocopy machine in office and commercial building. So as we know, there are multiple hazard associated with everything. But here I will cover only the photocopy machine. So a number of research article has been gone studied and around 200 has been studied as well as the standards which has been taken under consideration. It includes US EPA, SRE and OSAS as well as WHO, which outlines the number of hazard can be categorized in different category here. That can be socio-economic hazard, economic hazard, and then environmental hazard. When I come to socio-economic hazard, that hazard is associated with the basically the awareness of the public, setup of the building, setup of the equipment, age, literacy, the types of family, how it affects the workers. Then ergonomic hazard tells about the movement and the posture of the body posture while some person is working continuously in the photocopy machine or Xerox machine. He or she is bending continuously. So once he or he is bending, or hand is bending with certain degree, so obviously it may outcome as an ergonomic hazard to the person who is working on it. And obviously, once this machine photocopy printing or photocopy machine works, environment hazard is always associated in terms of CO2, VOC, ozone, etc. So after the identified hazard, what we have done here in this, we have done how the quantification of this hazard can be done, how the quantity matters, how it changes with time. Either a worker is working in a photocopy machine, morning he starts at 5, and evening he stops his machine at 7. So what is the changes occurring in the pollutant? Either in the morning once he start, either the ozone concentration is same, VOC is same, or at evening it is more. And suppose if he is working, and if the number of photocopy per hour increases, what are concentration that changes? In third case, what we are going to see, or either the ventilation has an effect on indoor air pollution, and if it has an effect, how much it is affecting to the indoor air pollution. So the third or second objective will tell about the impact and its assessment in different scenario. Then the third objective will obviously tell you about the mitigation measures and the development of tools which has been developed recently. So NBC, that is an backbone for the construction of building in our country. National Building Code in India has given different types of building. But in this 9 group, two groups which has not been considered under the indoor air pollution, that is indoor industrial storage, as well as one more, that is storage and hazardous building, industrial and storage and hazardous building, and others have been taken under consideration. Now, what we have done here, in this study, we have taken under consideration the USEP as an standard and SRA as an also an standards to conduct the this test and collect the sample. Here, according to this standard, USEPA says that the number of sampling point was not less than 1 per 25,000 square feet. So it has been covered and it has been taken under consideration while conducting this research. Okay. And then IAQ testing was, indoor air quality testing were done within the breathing zone between 3 to 6 feet. Generally, whenever we do indoor air quality sampling, we do in the breathing zone that comes between 3 to 6 feet. Like 95% of the population worldwide has a breathing zone between 3 to 6 feet. Now the question comes here, like suppose somebody stays at ninth floor or 10th floor, where you will do the sampling, because you, as you are saying, that 3 feet to 6 feet. So generally we see in an area, suppose there is an area, suppose I consider Pondicherry. In Pondicherry, we see what are the average height of the building. Suppose the average height of the building is around 3 meter, and it means we consider that the most of the buildings are one story building. So then in that case, we consider this breathing height between 3 to 6 feet. But if the if the building average building height increases, we accordingly change the zone of sampling for the indoor air quality. This is very crucial for indoor air sampling. Now, these are the instruments which is readily available nowadays in the market to collect the indoor air sample. If you see here, we have all these instruments with us. One is multi-gas analyzer, the other one is the VOC analyzer, and other one is the ozone analyzer. All three are very good in working, and these three can be used as an sampling or analysis of indoor air quality in any closed premises. So in my study here, we have conducted around 190 sample from the photocopy machine, and the photocopy shops generally opens between 9 to 10 a.m. and it closes at 7 p.m. And the sampling has been taken in between 3 to 6 feet as I discussed. So if you see the three hazard which has been identified, first hazard was socio-economic hazard, then ergonomic hazard, and then environmental hazard. To analyze all three hazards, what we have planned that why can't we collect the sample according to the hazard which we have identified? So the first hazard which has been identified was socio-economic hazard. The second hazard was ergonomic, and third was indoor. So under first hazard, we have divided this hazard in different parts where we have asked about the marital status, education qualification, nature of the family, age, and etc. While in ergonomic, we have covered the hazard which is directly or indirectly related to ergonomics or occupation of the person, where number of workers, height of the worker, height of the machine, working hour, and what are the ergonomic problem that person is basically facing, either back pain, wrist pain, yes, breathing, etc. We have different questionnaire for the person related to the ergonomic issue. Then coming to the indoor air quality, we have seen number of photocopiers, then obviously the model which tells you how much toner is required for certain number of photocopy. Then the ventilation area of the building, then a specialized ventilation facility like somebody has this automated ventilation system, somebody had manual ventilation system. Then we have also observed number of photocopy per day. Then obviously the air humidity and temperature of that area and concentration of different pollutant at different distance from the photocopy machine has been taken under consideration. Now, after we have conducted all this study experimentally, we have done the validation through CFD modeling. So let us see the result and discussion. In result, we will first see on socio-economic assessment that how this photocopy machine is socio-economically affecting the population of the area, and then what are the ergonomic issues that has been faced, and it is a hot topic for the workers those who are working on this area. And obviously the environmental assessment will reveal the ventilation rate and the concentration accordingly, and the rate of Xerox and concentration of the pollutant, and work duration and the pollution concentration, machine operation I mean to say. And then the risk has been identified through the cancer risk assessment, where the guy who was introducing me told that I have developed this patent and this patent is now available now, cancer risk assessment through indoor air pollutant. And then ergonomic assessment has been done in this research by two tools, that is Rula and Reva. Now, if you see the socioeconomic assessment, 92% of the India are basically working in the unorganized sector. When I say unorganized sector, this all comes under unorganized sector where there is no rules and regulation nowadays in India to have a photocopy machine in your own building. There is no rule for this. If you want, you can buy for your home. If I want, I can buy for my office. There is no standard rule to procure or buy a photocopy machine. And 92% of the total population in India basically work in unorganized sector, and which is very pathetic. And this is the work is also highlighting one of the unorganized sector, that is photocopying and printing machine. Now, in my research, it has been studied that between all these 97 among 190 sample were basically the age between 15 to 30. That is the new age group. And then the least one was obviously the last one. And if you see the social status, it has highest number of the backward community, and then coming to the most backward, and then the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. And obviously, most of the workers working here were married. So 124 around were married. And coming to the education category, no formal educations were there between 124. That is what has given a very pathetic, given us a very bad result about the ergonomic issue. When I tell you in the next 2 minutes. Then the family, nuclear family or individual family. Why I consider nuclear family and extended family, individual family? If I take an individual family, if a person is working in the photocopy industry and he is facing a breathing issue, then if it is a nuclear family, we can assess that either other members are also facing or not. If other members are also facing, it means there is a pollutant in that area also, which is basically common to all. So if you see the individual is only one who is coughing and who is having breathing issue or who is having backbone issue, and in a nuclear family, that it means it is directly or indirectly connected to the occupation of the person who is working in the photocopy machine. That's why the requirement of nature of the family was very much essential for us. Now, if you see the cognizance, 186 people says that they require this occupational health and safety measures, and they say that we don't have these measures to control the occupational health and safety. Then 174 require this ergonomic, you can say the green ergonomy, ergonomics, where the red ergonomics, like no one were aware about the ergonomics. Around 174 said no. Then 190 had faced this environmental hazard. I'll tell you in the next slide that how the environmental hazard was observed in every aspect. Now, if you see, data is obtained led to the confirmation that the sector is somehow under the category of unskilled and semi-skilled because of the increased literacy. Then, well, furthermore, it was also seen that welfare conditions are poor and unregulated in India in this occupation. High literacy rate was also been highlighted. Now, this result says, if you see here, between between 22 to 27, the occupant age were highest, while working experience, most of the workers, those were working between 3 to 8 years. And if you see working hour, mostly the working hour is more than 8 hour. Generally, the standard says our our Factories Act says our occupational safety, health and safety draft, which has been drafted in 2020, say that the working hours should not be more than 8 and 40 per 8 per day and 40 per week. But if you see here, 74% says that they had a working hour more than 8. So this is also one of the reason of ergonomic issue what they are facing right now. So here if you see working height versus the machine height. So now in most of the photocopy machine you will see the photocopy is kept at a certain height. Either one person is working on that same machine, and after some time the other person will start working on the same machine. Irrespective of their height, is irrespective of the machine height. They don't know what should be the standard height which can reduce or which can have least impact on my body. So if you see, most of the workers had a height of between what to say machine height between 3.1 to 3.5, and few had between 4.1 and 4.5. So between 3.1 to 3.5, most of the machine has kept most of the industry has kept their machine between 3.1 to 3.5. But without knowing any standard height, they just kept between 3.1 to 3.5. There is no standard height given in the equipment itself. But I'll tell you why they kept 3.1 to 3.5 in the next slide. Now, if you see here, if we have gone through the multiple number of survey, and that survey say that 163 people has injury at work sometime or in shoulder. While if you see orders in the eye, irritating orders in the eye has been observed by 170 people. While appropriate height is not there, that has also been observed by 140 out of 197 workers. Now, if you see here, this is the ergonomic, you can see hazard which has been identified. Back pain comes in the second place, that is 70. Sorry, third place, that is 72. Itching comes at the first place according to the survey questionnaire. The second is the skin rash, and third is the back pain, and fourth is the respiratory tract irritations, which has been observed during in between the workers. Now, if you see here, between different age group, we have also seen the ergonomic issue varies. So if you see the age group between 50 to 60 or 56 to 60, number of people has back pain, highest number of people has back pain, while if you see between 28 to 33, this one, itching is the most common injury. So as soon as you work continuously, you get a chronic disease, that is back pain. If you see the trend of back pain, it is increasing gradually, except this between 16 to 28, 21, where the children are growing. So sometimes they also feel, and they once they are growing, so they are more you can say energetic, and they start working more and more. So that can also be the reason. But here, if you see the general trend, the back pain starts increasing from after 22, from 2022 to 22 to 60 and above. Now, This ergonomic study also reveals that machine operators are exposed to physical, chemical, and ergonomic hazard at work. Noise, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, and ergonomics are the poisoning threat to the health and safety of the workers at photocopy shop. Now coming to the next one, that is environmental assessment of indoor quality. Now in indoor air quality, environmental assessment has been done, and the environmental assessment has been done for four different compounds. One is CO2, ozone, VOC, and one more is there, that is HCHO. For CO2, if you see, highest concentration was 1980, while the lowest was basically 40. Now, we must know that why this 1980 has come. See here in this case, ventilation CO2 concentration versus ventilation available has been taken under consideration in this graph. If you see the red line says at the bottom of the graph you can see when the ventilation is between 0 to 5% of the total room volume. When there is a ventilation between 0 to 5%, then the concentration has come highest. That is 198. Sorry, 1980. So, if you see the lowest concentration, you can see CO2 with the exhaust. So, CO2 concentration with the exhaust with ventilation area between 0 to 25%. So, when the ventilation area is higher, the concentration of CO2 is lesser as there that indoor air pollutants are going away from the room and air change per hour is sufficient. Then coming to the environmental awareness of assessment of CO concentration. Same goes for CO, and CO has the highest concentration that was 12.3. So if you see the acceptable concentration for CO is around 1, so it is 12.3, which is pathetic and which can lead to a severe health issue. Then ozone concentration, the acceptable concentration for ozone is 0.1 ppm. But here, if you see, the highest is not 0.1 or 0.2. It is between 1. It is around 1.87. So 1.87 is far ahead than the 0.1 ppm concentration, which is accepted or which is given by CPCB or sorry MOEFCC. Now same goes for VOC 1.92, but the concentration acceptable is 0.1 ppm, and same goes for formaldehyde also. The concentration is highest 40 and the lowest is 7. CO2 concentration versus number of copy. Earlier I was showing the PPT with respect to the ventilation. Now I am showing you this diagram of the result which says that how the number of photocopy also affect the concentration of different pollutant. If the number of copy, suppose in the morning, since morning to evening I have taken 1 copy, 2 copy, up to 2000 copy. So how the pollutant increases? So number 1 is the blue one. When the number of photocopy per day is between 100 to 200, then the concentration of CO2 is very less. While the CO2 concentration when the photocopy machine is generating 1000, you can say paper per day, then the concentration of the CO2 is highest. Concentration of CO. Now, if I say concentration of CO versus photocopy, it also follows the same rules which has been followed by CO2. CO2 also had the highest concentration when the number of photocopy were more, and CO also have the same condition when the photocopy is more, concentration is more. Same goes for ozone concentration also. And then same goes also for VOC concentration, volatile organic compound, and as well as HCHO. Now, if you see concentration versus working time, generally at 7 o'clock, highest concentration, that is 2.2 ppm of ozone has been observed. Why so? Because at evening, the concentration increases because of the number of photocopy per minute increases drastically from the morning. Now, concentration versus working time, if you see, obviously the concentration of the pollutant CO2 is increases at 19 hours, means at around 7, most of the pollutants are increasing. Now, the same result which have been observed has been also validated through NC's Fluent 2015 software, where the condition has been given same, and then after then we have observed that how the pollutant varies with respect to the time, and this you can see there are multiple diagram which says about the photocopy rate at 120 hour, 40 hour, 60 hour, and 80 hour, and 200 hour. 5 diagram. So A, B, C, D, E. So photocopy rate increases. And the VOC concentration also can be observed that increasing day by day, sorry, time to time was the photocopy was number of photocopy increases. Same goes for other sorry, printing, sorry, pollutant, that is ppm. Then again the same condition is also applicable for all the 5 group when the photocopy, sorry, ppm is more, that is particulate per million is more. Then VOC also increases with respect to the time. Then benzene also increases with respect to the time. Then toluene also increases with respect to the time. If you see the number E picture, it is completely red except to extreme right and left. So the concentration of ozone is and VOC is also increasing once the number of photocopy increases. Now, here estimation of health, that is cancer risk and environmental impact, and predictive tool has been done. This is how the methodology has been developed, and this has been copyrighted. You can use for your study also that how can you calculate the cancer risk associated with any of the uh, hazard. So here, if is associated cancer risk is equals to concentration of the substance in ppm into frequency of exposure meter cube per day, duration in per day, then average body weight divided by average body weight and life expectancy. Now, in this slide, I just wanted to highlight few of the things. So if you see, cancer is directly or indirectly connected to the concentration, one, frequency of exposure. It means how much a person is working. Like morning is working, then evening is working, and then afternoon is working. So what is the exposure level? The duration. Now, when you see this chemical hazard assessment says that concentration into time, like exposed time divided by concentration, total concentration tells you about the one hazard which can affect you drastically. So here this has been done, and then we have also done this development of tools by using Python language, where this I'll show you. Here this framework has been developed where the gender, then body weight, enter the toxic substance. Now, which toxic substance can be entered? Now you can say ozone, sir, VOC, sir, or all together, sir. No. The only limitation of this tool which has been developed by us is that you can always put only one toxic substance and its impact in terms of the cancer causing, either 20 year, 30 year, how much time it will take to have a 99.9% chances of having cancer. Okay, so this is like internal gender, body weight, toxic substance, concentration, and this is how you will get the result. This is a mobile app. You can see here in this mobile app, you can put all the data and then it will give you the outcome that how much concentration is required to be lower down if a person is working for 30 years or 35 years. Generally in India, whenever we consider research and we see the chronic effect, we see for 40 years that how much it is going to affect in 40 years. Then objective, if you see the last one was the ergonomic assessment. So RULA and REVA is the two assessment which can be done to assess the ergonomic hazard. First one is the RULA, that is rapid upper limb assessment, and second one is the REVA, that is rapid entire body assessment. Now, while a worker is working on the photocopy machine, while a worker is working on the photocopy machine, that worker is exposed to the hazard associated to the upper limb as well as the hazard associated to the entire body. Upper limb, why I'm saying telling you upper limb, because most of the work in the industry, photocopy machine or any industry or construction industry, you'll see upper body part is more active than the lower body part. You will bend, you will turn, your hand will move here and there with 90-degree angle, 60-degree angle, or 180 angle. So the upper limb assessment is very, very critical to assess the hazard associated with um, Rula and Reba. And then obviously, activity identified for my research were operating the photocopy machine and drawing and changing paperwork by bending again and again. Okay, the evaluator has been scored in the group A, that is arm and wrist, and then group B. When you go for the Rula and Reva, you need to basically give a score. And if you see, this is the risk factor associated to the Rula. Now, on what basis risk factor has been given? Risk is a multiplication of severity into probability. How much severe that is and how much probability of things is going to happen. So these two parameters has been taken under consideration, that is severity and probability. By multiplying both, you will always calculate the risk. So to calculate the risk in Rula, we have done the same formula and then we have given the score. If the person is scoring more than 6, then he is on high risk and implement a change is right now in the organization or in the system. Wherever you have photocopy machine, you need to change it immediately if the score is more. Then coming between 5 to 6, the medium risk where the changes need to be done, but further investigation is required because it is going to be an adverse condition after some time if it is going to be more than 6. So the risk level tells you that how and when it need to change, you need to change your, you can say the ergonomic status or you can say the posture of your body or the equipment whenever and wherever required. So this is how we generally give the scoring, and it is a standard scoring procedure where it is given that if your arm is in a certain position, 90-degree angle, then what should be the score, and if your upper arm and lower arm in certain position, what should be the score. And this is a standard score which basically has been given. And then if you see, this is how we give the scoring. And in our case, the score was observed at 7. So if you got a 7 score, it means you need to change. You means you have to implement the change as soon as possible. Now in REBA also the same thing has been done. In REBA, basically it divides the body part into the two segments. That is, one is level A, left side, and level B, that is right side. And then this basically gives you the ranking or the score based on the posture first, then a score the posture with the left and right both. Then compare these things. Again, the level of MSD, that is musculoskeletal disease, where the score, if it is more than 11, then it is considered as a very high risk and implement the change. When it is between 8 to 10, implement the change but investigate as soon as possible. This is the score of REBA, which is given as an input data, and this is our score, that is 4. So if you see here between 4 to 7, it is medium risk. Further investigation and change required very soon. So this is the research. Then in concluding remark, I must say that if you see, it is an urbanized sector, and most of the workers in these sectors are exposed to not only environmental hazard but also the physical, chemical, and ergonomic hazard. And the major pollutant which has been observed was VOC, semi-volatile organic compounds, CO2, CO, formaldehyde, benzene, toluene, which is not written here. Ergonomics, these are the major ventilation hazard which has been observed. Okay, obviously, as a customary rule, high usage of photocopier or it may be duplicating machinery, there should be a separate ventilation room with a mechanical exhaust, and air change per hour should be maintained according to the SA guidelines. And it is recommended that photocopy machine operators should be given occupational health and safety training so that they can recognize hazards and try to prevent the harm caused. Now, it is very sad to know that even the owner of the photocopy machine, even the big tycoon in the country, in our country, they don't know what is the standard, you can say the training required for the person who is working in a photocopy machine. So there are different standards training which is suggested by the NEBOS and IOS. there are two bodies, NEBOS and IOS. They gives you different training on occupational health at certain conditions. Suppose one is working in process industry, what hazardous study and precautions or occupational health assessment and awareness should be given to the person is given by NEBOS and IOS. So NEBOS, IOS can be referred, and you can refer NEBOS and IOS to see which occupational health training is very much suitable for the workers who is working in this area where the photocopy and printing is very common. Then periodic health check, obviously health checkup is required. As you know, the surveillance of health tells you the condition, both the condition. Like whenever you surveillance the health and then you connect the health with the environment, then it comes as a result of environment on the health, that how your health is basically targeting or targeted by the multiple pollutants and how it is coming to blood and urine. And ventilation of the workplace should be carried out in both summer and winter. As we have seen, the multiple stability condition and unstability condition of the environment also affects the air quality of that area. So mostly the ventilation is very very much required. Mostly in the winter situation, in winter condition and season, I have seen the photocopy machine owner, they used to close the window and door and they used to do the things. But unintentionally, because of the unawareness or they don't have the proper knowledge, technical skill, to release this concentration rather than that cold what they are feeling, they are more hazardous inside the building. Then much of the impact of the photocopy machine can be put in the limit by introducing workplace safety inspection, adopting clean photocopy room innovations, proper engineering measures, and a well-designed awareness campaign to enhance the environmental safety and design of this enclosed space. So, when I say NBC, National Building Code, then I say SRA, then I told you neighbors, then I said you OSAJ, and one more thing I just wanted to highlight that our country has released a notification in 2000 that was on ozone depleting substance. It's released and something like control is there. So wherever this type of equipment are being installed, that ODS, ozone depleting substance, must be understood, and you must check your instrument that either this instrument is producing anything which is an ozone depleting, you can say, the property, so that need to be aware of, that need to be understood by the organization as well as by a worker who is working at that area. Okay, thank you so much. This is all from my side. Now the session is open for any question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insightful and informative presentation, sir. Any questions from participants?
I have been given 1 hour, so I try to complete between 1 hour so that question and answer sessions should be given to the workers. Sorry, for the learners.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Who is this?
This is totally from Pondicherry University, Center for Pollution Control.
Good evening, sir. By the way, sir is my
Good
guru.
evening.
For everyone, for kind information, Sulai sir taught me this air pollution. From there only I got the interest, and now I am presenting in front of him. I don't know how many mistakes I have done. Thank you, sir. You can ask, sir.
So, it's a big word, Abhishek, but the way you are presented really inspiring. You have covered the entire, starting from the idea, and you have developed a tool.
Right,
So really, it's inspiring. I could see this holistic work.
right,
Uh, Now I came here as a participant. I have witnessed the session from the beginning. Really, it was very good. The question is how we are going to generalize it. We have seen a lot of threads in that. So, what's the next to move? You have done the work at least 5 years before. I'm not sure about the years,
hmm,
but now what next? How we are going to make it as a vulnerable points? It's actually Xerox machine, or I mean photocopy machine shop is a small enterprises for unorganized sector.
sector, right,
So
sir.
now, how we are going to bring this in a policy, and how it is going to reach the other part of the nation, and how we are going to prevent them. Is there any cost estimation for for the affected people? Have you done any studies on that?
On cost.
How much money they are spending for the disabilities out of the like, for example, if I am working for a photocopy machine, I get problems or disease anything, how much money I'm going to spend for clearing me myself from those problems?
No, no, this has not been covered. I know a question, but the aspect what I face the difficulties while assessing this two things. First of all, I must answer you that the first one, that how to regulate, and then the second one I'll discuss.
Yes,
What
yes.
I have observed during my studies are that we have a very good standard like National Building Code. If you see NBC, NBC tells about the ventilation. I generally generalize the ventilation, but irrespective of the gadget inside the room. So if you can, we can reach to the NBC and we can tell them that this must be included while you are giving the ventilation. It is like in a normal condition you have given the ventilation and ACH, but it is not always you can say effective for all types of building. So it is like if it is with the photocopy or it with any other printing or painting industry. So there we can highlight more on this ventilation if you see the indoor air quality, sir. So NBC can be targeted and can be communicated among this, sir, and they must aware the public for this indoor air quality and ventilation. And for the second question, sir, I must tell you, sir, it is very very difficult to assess the cost. Why? Because people works only for 10 hour or 8 hour in the industry, and remaining 20 hour and sorry 20 16 hour they spend in their home. So suppose their home is near to the industry, it is difficult to correlate that either the impact on his body is due to the work environmental condition in the work premises or the environmental condition at his home. So I tried to collect the blood sample also, but it was not feasible for me to collect that many samples, and hospitals also started denying me the giving the samples. So that was the hurdle which I faced to calculate, because some of the time industry will not take the burden. They will say no, no, it is because of your staying near the road, and then that's why you are getting more and more PM2 and whatever it is. They have many excuses for that. So it is like the samples are not controlled here, so it is difficult to assess the impact due to that only, and then the cost related to that only. That was the issue what I faced. You can suggest me that how we can improve in this.
Thank you, Abhishek. I have one more question for Xerox machine, I mean photocopy machine. Uh, Over the period, technological get advanced, and how the photocopy machine got modified. Because I have seen several small size photocopy machine. So now you need not to stand; you can sit and give a print in remote place also. So what is the intervention, even with this, whether it is diffused into small enterprises?
See, two things we it has been done in last few years. That is the earlier we had this carbon black. We had started. We had toners that was carbon black. Earlier we were using this carbon black, and this carbon black has the highest tendency of absorbing the heat. So once they absorb the heat, it basically heats the instrument, that is photocopy machine or Xerox machine also, as well as the if you see the pages which comes out, that also has some temperature, and it basically releases the VOC during that process. Nowadays they have replaced this carbon black with some of the instrument in my institution also they have done it. Now we don't have any instrument or printing machine which is using carbon black nowadays. So and they have now lesser temperature absorption capacity. One of things, laser printing is one of the nowadays revolution. And then, as you said, the centralized things are not there, and Wi-Fi and then sensor-based photocopy machine has been now in the practices. So this is what advancement has been done. But for the smaller enterprises, what you have said right now, uh, occupational impact even in the small enterprises is less. So the impact has not been studied on that aspect also. So it will be difficult for me to tell you right now that if the impact has not been stated, that how the changes or changing in the instrument can be done right now. Right now, the studies has very less on that.
Thank you, Abhishek. I take this opportunity to share many of, even it is not just for photocopy machine shop. Even in office, most of the my own colleagues or myself keep the printer very near to us because it always require for us. So whatever the impacts it would create through photocopy machine is applicable for printers. And those who are keeping the printers, please be aware that you will also be subjected for similar kind of pollutant. I hope Dr. Abhishek is also agreeing with what I say. Thank you, Amish.
Always,
Thank you. Thank
always.
you.
Thank you, sir.